Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by the team at OnePitch. Are you looking for a more efficient way to find and pitch the right journalists? Head to our website at onepitch.co to learn more. Our guest on today's episode of Coffee with a Journalist is Anna Tingley from Variety. Anna writes about topics related to e-commerce, including entertainment, politics, and online culture. During the episode, Anna shares what it's like trying to weave e-commerce into the type of coverage Variety is known for, how often she's writing throughout the day, the right and wrong ways to reach out to her, and more. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist, and I'm Beck Bamberger. Guess what, fellow publicists? This is episode, apparently, 199. God, we have been here a while. This is great. Wow, this is almost 200 reporters, editors, freelancers we've talked to over the years in doing this. We have learned so much on pitching, and that is what this show is for. We're here to make better relationships with our journalist friends because we need to be friends with journalists and editors and reporters. So speaking of, a fellow Bruin is with us today. I went to UCLA as well. Anna Tingley is here. She's an editor at Variety magazine, and we're going to talk all things commerce and her Stanley Cup, etc. Anna, welcome, live from New York.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. It's my first podcast, like I was saying. So
I know.
Excited, half very nervous.
Yes. Okay. Well, have no fear. It's so funny to me when reporters on here are like, oh my gosh, was that okay? How'd I do? And everything. And it's just because the shoe's on the other foot here, because I get to ask some of the questions. But of course, you are welcome to ask questions as well if you want. But anyway, Anna, just for those who may not be as familiar, I do like to start out with this. How would you describe what Variety covers?
Yeah, it's really interesting because e-commerce didn't exist at Variety before I came on like 2.5 years ago. So that was kind of a challenge when I first came on in making e-commerce and shoppable content make sense for a brand, especially a legacy trade magazine. So when I first started, I was really throwing a bunch of things at the wall. It had to be something that was entertainment related, right? We didn't want to jar our audience with things that didn't make sense for our brand. So in general, even from the beginning, I just always cover anything that's entertainment related. So that can be celebrity collaborations or product launches, products that celebrities are loving, using, and wearing.
Yes. You just did a piece on Julianne Moore's fan t-shirts, for example.
Oh, yes. I just wrote that. Yeah.
Yes. How fun. Oh,
it's
I love
really
it too.
Fun. I've been loving doing the fan-made merch on Etsy. I feel like there's just really hyper-specific niche things that our audience really appreciates. And I also really love highlighting also highlighting small businesses. I mean, I'm constantly obviously linking to Amazon and those big retailers, which is inevitable, but it's always nice to be able to link out to Etsy.
Always good. Okay, so your inbox, Anna, how is it in there?
I actually am pretty good with my inbox. I feel like I'm one of those organization freaks that that's my procrastination almost. Not necessarily responding to them, but just going through my email and just deleting all the ones that are irrelevant, putting them into folders that just calms me down, honestly. I actually have to get to responding and doing the work. That's the hard part. But we all know that a lot of it is useless. I cannot, for the life of me, of course, respond to every single email. So kind of organizing is honestly kind of fun.
So what do you do once you file these pitches, though? Is it you return to it maybe even in 3 months, 6 months, whatever? Or is it you have a process to return back to that is what is organized?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure as you've talked to other editors before, I mean, I would say 80% of emails are just things that are completely irrelevant, which is definitely the most
80%.
I mean,
that's bad.
But a lot. I mean, just things that I would never ever cover, just because they have nothing to do with entertainment. I mean, and I totally get it. I know that it's more of an automated process, and they don't have so much power to be able to know what every single journalist writes about. But I mean, of course, I appreciate when publicists are, reaching out about things that just totally makes sense. So, I mean, I am like really fast deleting if it's like very obviously not something that I would cover. But even if it's not something I'm necessarily writing about that day, if it's anything that I've written about in the past, or I could even just see myself writing about, I have a bunch of different folders. So I stow it away. I always come back.
Oh,
especially for like gifting season. If it's like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to do a standalone article on this, but this looks like a great product. This could, be something that I
roundup maybe.
I'll always return when I'm kind of putting together more general things like that.
Okay. Now, in an editor role, how much of at least the 20% of the pitches that are good are you sending to others, like maybe other people on your team, freelancers, etc.? How does it demystify this whole thing for us?
Yeah. So I've kind of gone in and out of accepting pitches and having like a freelance budget. I am kind of like a one team, like for ecom.
Okay.
So I'm more of an editor in the fact that like I kind of just self-edit, or I also have, basically I'm an editor in the sense that I have autonomy over what we cover and what the e-commerce looks like. We do have one floating writer that floats between the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Billboard, because we're all under PMP.
Yep.
It helps with some e-com stuff. So I edit and assign stories to him and some other writers if they ever have something that kind of aligns with e-com. But thankfully, at least at this point, I do not also have to sift through pitch emails, although that would be fun.
Thank God. Okay. So that's good. So you're kind of operating as like a one-woman band over there and with your own discretion, which has to be great, but also inundating, of course. Yes. You mentioned earlier, if I can tell if it's a fit. How are you immediately telling if it's a fit?
I mean, if it's, newsy and entertainment, that's going to be an email that I want to read, right? If it's the day after the Emmys, I'm probably not going to really pay super close attention to anything that's not having to do with the Emmys or the Golden Globes or the Critics' Choice Awards. Like that's what our readers are caring about and writing about, and that's what people are Googling. So for example, today, if I'm looking through something and it's not really like Emmys or awards related, I'm going to like stow that away for later. But I do have fun when it's like, again, I like to save things that don't necessarily make sense for a standalone for Variety. I get to have a little bit more freedom when I'm just doing like gift guides and roundups. Not every single thing that I write about is entertainment. So honestly, and that's probably why it's very confusing for publicists too, when they see what I write about, because it can run the gamut. Entertainment related is better, but really I think it's mostly about staying a part of the conversation. So I'm like always scrolling on Twitter, and it's just important, I think, obviously in any media or journalism related job to just be immediately aware of what people online are talking about. So, obviously right now it's the Stanley Cup and, Jacob Elordi and Mary Kagan, just like what's going viral, right?
So what's your process for staying on that?
I am just constantly on Twitter. It's helped also, again, that's like probably the hardest part of being a smaller team. And thankfully, Variety, even though I'm the only one really doing e-com, we have a huge team and I'm constantly on Slack and, we're all very, very online. I think that's just kind of like a prerequisite of being in journalism. So if I don't catch something, people are always sending things to me. Thankfully, I don't have to force myself. I love being online. I love scrolling on Twitter. So it comes naturally. And a lot of what I write about might not make sense if you aren't also online. Like last week, I had a story about the Jacob Elordi bathtub water salt burn candle.
Oh, God, yes,
that was like super, super viral. It's like one of the silliest things I've ever written. You just never know it's going to like just go crazy. We ended up getting Barry Kagan to talk about it on the red carpet and like everyone's seen it. So,
oh God.
And that's just an example of something
wild.
Fun, but that's an example of something that just like makes so much sense for Variety. We're talking about salt burn all the time. And it's funny that there's somehow a shoppable element to it. So,
yes. Isn't that interesting to have that moment, the viral moment, but then is it tied to something that is benefiting commerce to some person, to some place? Okay. How do you structure, if there is any structure, Anna, your day?
How do I structure my day? It's kind of nice because I'm on the East Coast. So I feel like I have a little bit of a buffer before, because most of the team, we have a small cohort in New York, but most of the team is in LA. So I feel like I'm not getting super bugged until like around 12 p.m. when people on the West Coast start getting onto their laptops. So I kind of
that is, by the way, one of the best hacks. I swear to God, if you have a team that's West Coast and you get to be on East Coast, just tootling away, hours ahead, getting so much stuff done. And then they come on. Oh, it is one of the most rewarding things. And I am mostly in California. And then when I go to New York, I'm like, watch out. I am blazing.
Unstoppable.
People, blazing. It's so fun. I'm in New York like 6 times plus a year. And I'll be there like the whole week or like 10 days because I love it. And I got lots of business and all this good stuff to do. So, it is just a delight. I love it. And I'm a super morning person too. So I'm already up at 4:30 doing all my stuff and running, which no one is up that early in New York, by the way.
Yeah, there's still like up
just great.
Yeah,
exactly. People are still up coming from the night before.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So you take advantage of your East Coast position.
Yes. So usually in the morning, I'm catching up on emails from the night before because, of course, then I'm getting emails like after I'm off from the night before. So I kind of spend my first few minutes. Well, I do spend the morning going on Twitter, checking all of the news. I just want to make sure I'm on top of any newsy things that are happening so that I can be the first and also take advantage of being on the East Coast to, be the first to talk about things. Make sure I'm not missing anything big, read any big cover stories that are coming out. I also spend that time socialing out stories. So I thankfully have access to our Twitter and Facebook. So I'm able to kind of just like give some extra love to my ecom articles. And then I'll try to get at least 1 or 2 stories up by 12 p.m. And then, start my day with quick standalone posts to make sure I'm kind of just getting on top of anything that's newsy and kind of shape that discourse on Twitter. And then the afternoon, spend more time on things that are a little bit longer form, roundup. Sometimes, I'll try to schedule my interviews or if I'm talking to somebody later on in the day, but honestly, not hugely structured. Every day is a little bit different.
As they need to be. Absolutely. Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to learn about the unique ways OnePitch helps brands engage with the right journalists? Head to onepitch.co and create your own custom media list in 5 minutes or less. Now back to today's episode.
Now you're in New York, best place ever. Can people build a relationship with you meeting you up in New York? Or do you prefer nope, I just want to talk to you on email and thank you very much?
That's a great question. I feel like it's just a huge balance. I love actually going to press events. I mean, I'm a pretty extroverted social person. I know some people would hate that.
Yes.
I definitely have to be in the mood, but I don't know. I think it's a perk of the job that brands will put together dinners or events. And I always enjoy going to those. I mean, especially at this point, I at least know enough people in the industry that I'll sometimes see familiar faces. It's a little bit less intimidating than maybe it was when I first started. But, those are fun. It's really fun to not only meet people that you have been emailing for a really long time but also I think my favorite part is also just meeting other journalists and connecting with people that have similar jobs and hearing how they do things and hearing how their publications do things. So at that point, let's say I'm going to an event and then I totally get along with a publicist or a brand, or I genuinely am really interested in something that they're working on, then I'm totally down to go get a coffee or a dinner. But if somebody totally cold emails me and is like, oh, I just moved to New York, I work for this publicity company and we should get coffee, not super, gonna be super for that.
So it sounds like you want to kind of meet them in the wild at something and then feel the vibe and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise it just feels like a forced, I mean, I also get emails. I know you were saying emails that just kind of annoy you. And I think that there's also just a fun, I'm tell us. I mean, hey, I feel for publicists, it's such a art to be able to form genuine relationships, but also, of course, it is professional. But I definitely get turned off. And I can say most of my friends in the industry also get turned off if it just doesn't seem genuine. From right away, the first email, they're acting like they're your best friends or they're just a hey girlfriend. And it just seems really forced. Also, a lot of times, after you've worked together once, a publicist will follow you on Instagram, which sure, maybe, but then they'll in their next email be oh my God, saw you were traveling around here. Hope it was great. And it just feels a little bit creepy to know people are stalking you and then using it to craft an email. I don't know.
I did have someone though one time. I just have to share this because it's, I think, relevant to this. I said, oh, hey, Jane, would you be interested in something? I just use the word hey. This person was like, you should never use hey. That is unprofessional.
Oh my God.
This was recent. I was like, wow, this is not my lady. Okay, it's totally fine. But I was like, oh, I've never had someone respond back to like, hey is not appropriate. And how
Oh my
dare
God, I
you?
do not go that far. I'm actually pretty
No.
like casual. I'm like not very professional. Like I like love just like being casual over email.
Yeah, that's what shocked me. I looked up this person and maybe there's an age differential, maybe perhaps, I don't know. But I was
Yeah.
like, damn, okay. But yeah, hey, girlfriend, you want to go meet me for drinks tomorrow? I just moved here. No.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay. What's your favorite type of pitch?
Something very specific. I mean, just in general, I like to write things. I mean, obviously, I like to write things that will perform well and do well on social media. Specifically, that's how you get clicks in today's day and age. And, we like specifics, right? Like, let's say it's the day after the Emmys and they're like, Sarah Snook wore $350,000 of Cartier jewels tonight. Like, that's a pitch where I'm going to click on it. Like, we want numbers. We want something crazy and insane that we want to learn more about. Like, just even saying that she wore Cartier, like, of course she did. Everyone was wearing jewels. Like, something that sticks out that can just give an angle immediately, right? Like, everyone wants less work, right? So if the publicist is already giving you that angle or that story that's going to be on read, it's just going to be that much easier to convert it into a story.
Jumping around, just to hop on that, and I'm thinking about like the best pitches here. You already have up, Anna, your gift guides for Valentine's Day. And it is a solid month it's January 16th right now. So we are 1 month totally out. Dang. When do you like to get gift guide pitches?
For Valentine's Day, for example, I mean, as soon as like January 1st, I mean, not that I'm necessarily going to be checking my email on January 1st, but
yeah.
But it's never too early because again, like even if I'm not ready to like sift through those, that'll be just like a day where I sift through and like do my holiday gift guide. So it's never like annoying to me that people are pitching that because I love having as many products to kind of go through when I'm putting those together. So like 2 months in advance. I mean, Valentine's Day is a little bit different because like you don't really want to be receiving Valentine's Day stuff when you're already in the slog with like Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
But 1 or 2 months, because really, I mean, especially when you're buying things online, like you need at least a month to shop through those things. So I like to get them updated as soon as possible.
Do you also like to receive the actual products?
I mean, I'm never opposed.
Okay.
But it depends. I mean, we're not like huge, testing.
Yeah, you're not a test facility type place. Yeah.
So it's never like a huge necessity. There's some things that I think are helpful. Like I have a big like candle roundup and perfume roundup and specific things that are like really saturated spaces. I mean, they're like a million scents and candle brands that like I do like being able to like experience them, smell them, and like as many products as I include, like I really don't like writing about something that sucks, obviously. Like I want to genuinely know that I'm liking the product. So I don't necessarily ever need to get something sent to me, but if they offer it to me and it's something that just would be helpful to experience, it also just like helps to write about it if you experience it, especially if you really, really like the product and you're using it. It's just like, oh my God, like that'll inspire me to, one of my favorite things that I wrote about was the Solar Wave, which is a skincare ultra red or infrared light skincare wand. I actually don't even think the brand sent it to me, but it was in our Power of Woman gift bag and I got it. And that's just an example of like, a very expensive skincare device that I would never, ever pay money for. I always think those things are hoaxes, but I actually ended up trying it and I could not believe how much of a difference it made for my skin. And like, I would never write a whole story about something like that if it really didn't work with me. So that was an example of something being really helpful to actually have experienced. And
just to be clear, you got it in a variety gift bag.
Yes, I got it in a variety gift bag, which is so random. We have gift bags.
I see it here on the article. Yes. This little pink, it kind of looks like a razor with little dots on it.
It's so strange. And no one ever believes. I mean, like, I'm like the biggest proponent of this thing. It's honestly one of my like personality traits at this point, but it's huge because it's basically what every Hollywood star uses to prep their face before red carpet. So that's like a huge entertainment.
This little stick. Wow.
Yeah, you basically like rub it on your face for like 20 minutes after you put like moisturizer on, and it just like, lets your skin or absorb all of your skincare.
There's been a lot of these, over the years and stuff, but they've gotten lots of coverage. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm on the link. Okay. Anna, I have a quick rapid fire question series here if you're ready.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Video or phone interview?
Video.
Bullet points or paragraphs in a pitch?
Bullet points.
Short or long pitches?
Short.
How short?
I kind of like when literally a couple sentences to show if I'm interested, and then I can say if I want more information or not.
Images attached or Dropbox zip file?
I'd say Dropbox, I think.
Okay. Email or DM?
Email. For sure.
One follow-up? Yeah, that's everyone's, I have to say. Oh, and siren in the background. I'm in the city. That's what's happening. Direct or creative subject lines?
Direct.
Press release or media kit?
Press release.
Time you prefer to read pitches? You talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, morning.
Morning, ET time, as we talked about in your day.
Yeah, so if you're on the West Coast, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, we'll schedule that stuff. We all can schedule emails. And any preferences on sources right now?
Preference on sources.
Like, is it stylists you want to hear from, or just PR people who have celebrity clients, or et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always interested in talking to, hairstylists, makeup artists, people that are kind of behind the scenes that are very kind of hands-on with these products in the industry. But it's always nice talking to experts in the field. I'm trying to think of an example. But for an example, I'm working on a story right now kind of related to social media stars going into comedy. So I'm rather than just talking to the social media stars themselves, I'm interested in talking to kind of the people you wouldn't think about that are in these venues, whether they're just kind of the ticket
bookers, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, people that are in the space that are kind of firsthand seeing these shows and change in vibe, but they're not necessarily the first person you would think to talk to. So I think I always love when
interesting angle. Yeah.
Yeah, when articles just include unexpected sources. I mean, it just is always refreshing.
Unexpected sources. Okay. Anna, is there anything that we can promote, celebrate, highlight for you in your fabulousness?
Nothing super specific, but I will say I think this year is going to be big for Variety Ecom.
Okay, like it.
We're trying to scale a little bit, and I think for this year, I'm trying to get more into video content and longer form content. So just look out, go to variety.com, and hopefully you'll see some more exciting ecom content.
Excellent, Anna. Well, thanks for being on today. Your first one, episode 199 for us.
I know, so exciting. Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Thanks, Miss Anna. And everyone, please remember, don't be asking Anna for random coffee if she's never met you. Go to the events where she will be seeing you and sussing you out. That's the best. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's Coffee with the Journalist episode featuring Anna Tingley from Variety. For more exclusive insights about the journalists on this podcast, subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter at onepitch.co/podcast. We'll see you next week, but until then, start great stories.